Welcome to The Naked Entrepreneur. I'm Dr. Sean Wise, and today I'm joined by Aaron Spivak, the founder of Hush Blankets and Revitasize. Aaron is a serial entrepreneur, founding Revitasize at only 18 years old. In 3.5 years, Revitasize has expanded to 7 locations throughout Toronto and has become famous for its celebrity endorsements. His company, Hush Blankets, has sold out time and time again, both online and through crowdsourcing. Hush Blankets is growing fast, averaging 300% month-over-month growth. Thank you for joining us, Aaron. You had your first business at 18, but was that your first entrepreneurial venture, or were you selling lemonade at 6?
Definitely a lemonade seller.
Yeah.
I was definitely a part of that. Never took it too seriously. I think my real first taste of entrepreneurship was in grade 6.
Okay, tell me about that.
When my mom used to knit these like hats. If you guys remember, they were like, people used to wear them. They had like a pom-pom and
Like a toque.
braids. Yeah, like a toque, but she would customize your like initials into the back.
Okay.
And I would go around and sell them to my classmates. And
Did you cut her in for the profits, or did
absolutely
you just make her
not.
work
No.
for free?
Looking back, I didn't even pay for materials. It was actually a great business.
See, you know what, you're laughing, but we've heard someone tell almost that exact story with bookmarks. It was the best business because mom paid for all the supplies. She did all the heavy lifting. She transported everything, and
Yeah.
they kept all the profits.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was like a full year. And
Did
then,
she start with the hats, and then you saw the idea as a potential, or did you start and she had to just fill? Like, how did that happen?
Me and my mom have done a lot of things together, actually. Now that I think about it, I used to import look-alike Uggs from China, and we'd sell them together I would sell them to my friends, and she would help store them and organize them in her house. And but yeah, no, she would just make
What
them for us.
appealed to you at age 11 to be selling, to be hustling, to be entrepreneurial?
I don't know. I just had a constant urge to provide value for other people. And
At 11?
yeah, I mean, I always saw the way, my mom had a caregiving business growing up, so I always saw the way that she was so customer oriented, and she took so much pride in her reviews and the testimonials that she got. She'd post them all over her office, and it was the most important thing to her. So I looking at her, I kind of got that natural sense of satisfaction if I can make someone else happy, right? So I remember giving one of the girls I liked in grade 6 a hat with her initials on the back, and was like, this one's on the house, and
You were a big shooter in grade 6.
and she's like, wow, no way, right?
Did you guys go to prom together? Was there
No, absolutely not. It ended there.
That was the extent
yeah.
of it.
But it felt good, and I started to realize that, I became kind of the person in elementary school people looked to whenever new things came out, because I was always offering it to them, and I took a lot of satisfaction in that.
Now let's go to high school, and at the end of high school you form Revitalize. But how did you get to that? Were you in high school thinking, I don't want to go to university, I better start a business? Did you see this business elsewhere? How does that come about? Because most people in their last year of high school are worried about acne and the prom and university acceptance.
I was a hockey player my whole life, right? My older brother went to go play Division I hockey. I wanted to follow in his footsteps. I looked up to him, and we were pretty much on the same track. He played AAA hockey growing up. I played AAA hockey growing up. He played Junior A. I played Junior A. So throughout high school, my only focus was, how can I do things in order to get to play Division I hockey,
Okay.
right? Whether it be for the school he's playing for or a different school. So that really wasn't it. I mean, I had side focuses. Like, I had a party bus company where we'd facilitate all the party buses for all the proms in pretty much York region, and
Okay.
got to the point where I didn't have enough buses to give out to people. But that was all just fun for me. It wasn't really a business plan. It was something for me and my friends to do. We'd go on these buses. We'd make sure like the kids didn't drink and stuff, and we'd let them drink anyways, but it was fun. And it was kind of grade 12 to the year after, I took a year off to focus on hockey, where this is post my mom closing her caregiving business, where things just started to break down from an internal family perspective.
Okay, tell me what that.
I didn't really know anything. My dad still is today extremely kept to himself. Not a very emotional guy. You don't know if he's
Stoic.
You don't know if he's happy or if he's sad. You just kind of even keel. My mom, the complete opposite. Like, she's happy, sad, angry, loves you, hates you, all within 10 seconds. So they're complete polar opposites with that. But my dad was really in control of the finances, and when my mom's business closed, which was the majority of our family income, from an internal perspective as a kid, we didn't really realize much change. Like, we moved to a smaller house, but two of my older brothers moved out, so it made sense. My other brother's playing hockey, he's playing professional hockey at this point, made sense. So we didn't really know what was going on. And then, my mom started to gain a bunch of weight because, closing her baby till this day was extremely hurtful. And to see someone...
Why did she close it?
A lot of things went on. I mean, internally, it came down to a rule in the government that basically a new law that passed that disabled her from operating her business the way she operated it. And my mom's, an immigrant of 20 years, doesn't really write or read English. Mm-hmm. So it would force her to go through school in order to continue her business, which was virtually impossible at the time. So
that must have been really hard for her. She was so... when you figured it out, mm-hmm. that was all related, what did you take from that?
At the time, I didn't take anything. I mean, she was quick. She started these jewelry side businesses and all sorts of different things. She never really stopped working, but it was never quite the same, right? She lost her car, her dream house, everything, all of her freedom.
You've taken a year off. The family's not in financial great standing. You're focused on hockey.
Yeah, so basically my mom said at one point, she's like, that's it, I gotta lose this weight, I gotta change my life around. So she did a 70-day juice cleanse. I don't know if you know what a juice cleanse is, but it's basically consuming juices only for the entire day. No food, no fiber at all, so no smoothies, just cold pressed juice for the entire day. Which is doable for 3, 4, 5 days, maybe 10 days. 70 days though?
I'm not even sure that's healthy.
I don't know if it is either. We don't recommend it.
And I can't think you would.
She did it. She hired a coach. He coached her through it. She juiced it for herself, which is an entire process on your own. And she lost, I don't know what exactly it was, 65 plus pounds, changed her whole life around. And her friends came to her and said, well, what are you doing? Like, you look so good. You're so energetic. She started to go back. She used to work out often. She started walking again, and everyone was kind of like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "Well, juice with me. Come over, and I'll juice some juice for you." And next thing you know, I come home from school, or I actually come home from hockey, and I'm like, "There's 5 women in my living room. My mom's just got a pile of veggies, and they're all zipping cups of juice." And she's like, "Yeah, we'll see you guys in 2 hours." And they'd leave, and they'd go do their stuff and come back, and it wasn't until my brother Dan was like, "Mom, you're spending hundreds of dollars on groceries here. Like, you can't just keep doing this." You know what I mean? So they were all like, "Yeah, we'll pay. Like, this is amazing. We're losing weight. We want to keep it going."
Okay.
And we did some research, and we went to Canadian Tire. Me and my brother, we bought these mason jars.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's it. We started juicing in the morning, putting them in mason jars, and just putting people's names on it. And one thing led to the next thing, and those people lost weight and felt better and had energy, and then their friends were like, "What are you doing?" And next thing you know, I'm 18 years old, I buy a mini whiteboard like this, and I've got names of people picking up, and it was just, we just took so much joy. Every time someone calls and be like, "I lost 5 pounds," like, I'm not exaggerating, we were like, "Yes, she lost 5 pounds, we knew it, I told her, she didn't believe it," so it was so exciting.
You're running it out of the house.
Yeah, we're completely out of the house.
But you're still playing hockey. When did that change for you?
It didn't. It didn't change for a while, actually. So then that September, my brother actually left back to go play pro. Keep in mind, we were making maybe a couple $100s a week at this point, right? We weren't charging properly. We were basically charging at cost. We just wanted to help people.
I understand.
Right? It was personal fulfillment all the way. And then my other brother, Near, left his job I think about a month or so after Daniel left and came back, and he's like, like we should keep this going. Like, I don't know why we'd stop. Just because Daniel left, we can keep it going. We have clients, so we kept it going. And,
You have clients, but you're only making a couple $100. The
Yeah,
business model may not be sustainable at that
there
price.
was no official
And you
business
weren't
plan.
paying yourself, were you?
Oh, absolutely not.
Because then there'd be no money.
No, definitely, absolutely not. I wake up
So you're profitable as long as you don't have to pay employees or eat.
or rent or.
Well, I guess you could have the juice.
Yeah, it was. It was like 3-4 hours of juicing a day, and it was never really. We didn't say, guys, if we keep going, it's going to be something like we do now. Now we look back, and everything has got a plan, goal, timeline. It was just.
Well, tell me about that transition.
The transition was when it really started to scale. When it was 10, 15 people a day, and we're like, we need a better juicer. Like these little juicers from Walmart are not going to cut it. So we invested in a really good juicer, and we started pumping things out. And then we're like, you know what? We need better than mason jars. So my brother found some company in Buffalo, and he drove there in the winter. We rented a pickup truck, and he comes back, and me and him are unloading. And then the grocery store wasn't going to cut it. They don't have enough produce for us. And
You'd be cleaning them out.
I remember 18 years old, I go to the food terminal. You know what that is?
Yeah, but the audience may not.
The food terminal is basically where
The airport
all
for
of
food.
all of our produce comes from. And I didn't know it existed. And my cousin, who's his family owned What a Bagel, was like, this is where you guys got to go. And we're like, okay. So I remember me and my brother, we walk in, 18 years old in the food terminal, which is predominantly older men dominating the scene, walking around. Everyone knows who's who, and I walk in, I'm like, I want 1 box of apples.
Now, these people, just for reference, are selling
they're selling
pallets
of
boxes.
and you've got big grocery stores like No Frills and Pusateri's fighting over specific produce, and you have this 18-year-old kid coming with his jacket and his mom's toque, and he goes, can I get a box of apples? And the guy looks at me and he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, like that box right there. He's like, just take it. And I'm like, why? He's like, come back when you need more. And I was like, what? And then my brother comes back with a box of oranges, and he's like, I got the oranges, and I got the
Were
apples.
all of them free, or did you have to pay for
No,
something?
we paid for everything,
Okay,
but
good.
well, my brother paid for. He's older, right? So they took him seriously. But me, the guy thought I was like some guy's kid or something. He's like,
Okay.
just like take them. Like your dad will pay for them or something. I was like, sure, and started doing that before school and before hockey. We had practice in the morning. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. I'd take the truck or the car at the time and load it up, and I'd be parked in this little like parking spot surrounded by these massive trucks, and I'd fill it up. Then we used our cooler room for a while, and then it got to the point where my house was a juicing facility,
Yeah,
and
which it isn't zoned for.
it wasn't a house anymore.
Exactly.
I'd wake up, I'd go upstairs, and I'd be at work, and then I'd finish work, and I'd still be at work. So our goal was to move out
Okay.
and get our first place.
Okay. Tell me about that.
Which was exciting. We thought we were smart. We built this beautiful business plan. We went to the bank. We said, hey, look at this beautiful business plan. Can we get a loan? And they're like, absolutely not. And we're like, why not? They're like, well, you got to show this and this and this. And we went and we made that all happen, and we signed the lease, and we were getting this loan. This loan was secured. We had friends at the bank. It was happening.
Okay.
Loan was coming through. Loan didn't come through.
Okay.
So we saved up the money from the year at the house. So we had a few $1,000s, and we projected it would cost us about $100,000 to open up our first place.
Okay.
We got some friends, some family, people who supported us, friends of my mother, do all contribute small amounts. We got close to that $100,000 range. Pretty much built the store $75,000 short.
So it was actually almost double what you had.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Now you're caught because you've already tapped friends and family. You've already started, but you can't generate revenue with half-built facility. So how did that feel? What was on your mind when that happened?
I didn't really know what was going on, to be honest. I mean, I remember sitting on the curb outside of our store after spending hours peeling off this vinyl from the window. And we were absolutely tired, and we just sit there, and was like we didn't really know what we were going to do. Like maybe we ask more people, like loans are tapped out. You also have to keep in mind that people didn't believe in the business.
Oh, people didn't know about it.
Very, people that I respected, I still do. People that we do as a family, the people that we looked up to in terms in the business field, whenever they would look at our idea, like no one's buying a $10 juice. Like, just doesn't make sense.
So how did you get the extra $75,000?
May, I guess, of that year was kind of when it all fell apart. My dad was the only one working at the time, and me and my brother were just sitting, and my brother gets a call from my mom saying, like, you got to go pick up your dad. My dad was a truck driver at the time. He used to deliver cakes and snacks, all sorts of grocery stores. And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, he doesn't really know what's going on. I'm like, so my brother's like, well, like, tell him to call me. And I kind of heard it, and I was like, no. You get in the car, we're driving to go meet him right now. I call my dad, I'm like, where are you? My dad knows directions like the back of his hand. He's like, I don't know.
That must be scary.
And I was like, I've done his job before when he goes on vacation or whatever, so he has these store numbers. So I was like, what's the store number? And he gave me the store number. So it's like it was in Newmarket. We drove there. Yeah. He had no idea what was going on.
What had happened?
At the time, he had no idea. He's like, I don't know. I'm not feeling good. And I'm like, okay, you gotta go to the hospital. So I drove the truck. My brother drove him to the hospital. We're all sitting at home, calling my brother, what's going on.
This is still, you have half a store.
Yeah, we have half a store built.
Half a store, and you're picking up your dad, who's not himself.
And he comes home from the hospital. They're like, yeah, he's fine. Okay, goes to sleep. Wakes up in the morning, my dad's putting an order into an American company. And I hear him, he's yelling at the girl. And I'm like, why are you yelling at her in Hebrew? And he's like, what do you mean? And he responds in Hebrew. And I'm like, you have to speak English to her. And I realized that my dad pretty much forgot a language.
Which is usually a sign that something isn't right.
And I was like, but you just came back from the hospital. So he goes, and I'm like, there's one thing my dad will never forget, his online banking password.
Okay.
So I like watch him navigate, and I'm like, log into your online password. And he logs in, wrong password. But he's acting as if he knows it. He's like, oh, my bad. Does it again. Nothing. 3 times, they lock him out. And I'm like, okay, we gotta go to a better hospital. So I take him to Sunnybrook. I think he went to Major Mackenzie in Richmond Hill. I'm like, you gotta go to Sunnybrook. Triage nurse comes in. She looks at him and she goes, what's your birthday? And he's like, and she's like, you had a stroke. And I'm like, that's what I've been saying the whole time. But the hospital sent him home, so everyone thought I was nuts. So I'm like, no. So she's like, she looked at him and she didn't even do any of like the follow-up tests. She's like, grabs him and she kind of just like, we gotta go. Like, you had a stroke. And that's when everything changed. Nothing really made sense. You know, you realize that this business that we wanted to succeed wasn't a want anymore. It needed to succeed. Because
there was one less breadwinner.
There was no money. So my dad actually got an insurance check for losing his job. I think it was $100,000. 75 filled the void.
You used the insurance check, the last money that your father might be generating for a long time, and you finished the store that you had no idea it would work, like would be profitable, and up until this date, you hadn't paid yourself and you'd only made hundreds of dollars.
Correct.
What was that like? Because you said so far, I didn't really know. I don't know.
If you asked me at the time, I would tell you that there's no way in hell that it wasn't going to work.
You'd almost have to feel that way, or you couldn't.
If I look back on it, and you told me as an investor, and you were me, and I were you, and I was the investor, and I told you what was going on, I would be like, I want to stay as far away from you as possible because you're crazy.
So I know why you didn't want to feel that way, why you wanted to believe it would work. You have no choice sometimes. You have to believe it yourself.
That's the thing. Like, we didn't want to believe it was going to work. It was done. It already worked in our head. It made sense. Like, everything lined up. There was no guessing. It was premeditated.
Based on that year of experience?
Based on absolutely nothing.
Okay, so let's be honest. Based on absolutely
Based on the fact that we had a few hundred people that we served and loved us.
Did you maintain that belief throughout, or were the first weeks a little bit touch and go?
So I'll explain to you opening day. Opening day, actually before opening day, we were able to buy, basically the last purchase was to buy our big juicer. It was a $50,000 machine. I remember my mom grilling me. She's like, how could an 18-year-old be buying a $50,000 machine? Like, you're crazy, like your brother should have done it. Like, and I'm like, don't worry, it's gonna come. And the machine came and we had no idea how to use it. So day before opening, we were basically on like 24 hours already, me and my three brothers. My mom's at home and she's cooking soups and baked goods and we pulled an all-nighter. We basically taking naps in the back of the store, and we finished pouring the last. We opened at 7 a.m. We finished pouring the last juice at like 6:45. We didn't even know how to use our POS systems at the time, and we still have our toothbrush in the back of the store. But we opened our doors, and
Did any of you have any retail experience?
yeah, I worked at Sport Check. My brother worked at like.
Did any of you have any retail experience in the food delivery business?
Absolutely not.
Did you have any deep domain knowledge about juice or?
Yeah.
Or,
Juices was our forte. We studied it all day, every day, and every juice we've ever made has been formalized based on its color, its taste, its nutrient properties, what it can do for you. We were a cleansing company. Like, that's what we wanted.
But it's 6:45. You've poured the last juice. The store's going to open. You have no idea if anyone's outside, or maybe you can see or not. You look to your brothers and say, "What? Open the door!" Like,
Yeah, we opened the door and we sold out within like a few hours.
that must have felt good.
At the time, it felt like shit because I knew I had to
Do it all again
not
tomorrow.
sleep and make some more juice. And
What were
yeah,
those first weeks like for you?
we've got incredible family, extended family that supported us.
How many people now work in the business?
Employee-wise?
No, you family-wise.
Everyone now.
But I don't know how big your family is.
We have 5 boys in my family,
Okay.
and my 2 brothers. My 2 parents.
Okay.
So
Whole
7 of
family.
us. Everyone's in it now.
So tell us about the first 30 days. When did you finally take a deep breath and said, okay, we're not going to lose everything?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you go from the one store to the 7 locations today? Did you wait till each one was successful?
It was.
Did you
it
use
comes
all
back
the planning?
to the constant need. So, we did the math. We said, okay, listen, we need. I think it was $30,000 a month to pay the house, the bills, the insurances. Like, no money for anybody, just to stay alive, including the rent. We had no employees. We were the employees.
Yeah.
So that was our first goal. And first month, I think we had like 33. And then, we started to really push. We felt that if each person that came through our door got the best experience of their life, odds that they tell someone else to come in are extremely high.
Yeah.
That was our marketing.
Net promoter score, virality, getting people to
Yeah.
talk about it.
Well,
right?
that's stuff we do now, but at the time,
Yeah, okay.
at the time it was just like, if Chris has a really good time if he comes in today and he really enjoys his experience, odds are he's going to bring someone else in.
Did all of you share that belief?
Yeah.
And that's what drove you for good customer service?
Yeah, we were. When you speak to someone and he's crazy passionate about what he does, and you don't second guess a thing he says or she
Very much
says,
so.
because you just know that this person spends every waking moment doing that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
At any time in the first 3 months that you came to Revitasize, you were confronted with someone of my family who was that person. So it was overwhelming for people every time they came in the door, right?
Overwhelmingly positive.
Positive because we were completely educational at the time, right? Turmeric shots weren't a known thing 5 years ago. People didn't know
And
the
bulletproof
benefits.
coffee wasn't a big thing.
Yeah,
Keto was still-
every person that came in, they're like, what's this green stuff? I'm like, well, this is kale, and this is the vitamin K, and this is turmeric, and it's an anti-inflammatory. And now, fast forward 3 years, 4 years, as people come in, they're like, "Oh, turmeric, I'll take it for that. I got a headache," and I'm like, "Wow, we didn't even have to say anything."
You were really leading the market because people were only at that time understanding. the
Right. So
benefits.
we were just completely educational, and the product was good.
So do you think timing played a huge part, or do you think that regardless of the timing, your focus of customer service, your family commitment, you would have gotten the same success?
Timing was a huge factor for sure, but I think it's a huge factor in the fact that we were able to scale to 7 locations as fast as we did.
And they're all family owned, right? They're not franchises?
2 are franchised.
Well, 2 are now franchised, okay.
2 are which is interesting stories too. Both of our longest standing employees. Joe, who owns the Aurora one, was our first ever employee. Was my brother's best friends growing up. And
Well, that speaks volumes that the employees want to double down
Yeah.
and be engaged.
right, and Brittany was our manager in our Thornhill location, which is our busiest location for a few years. So both are, they both speak to the business and they both love and share that passion. So it was easy for them to get their own going. But timing is a factor, and
What lessons can you share from that journey? Because like you say, you've grown incredibly fast based on industry norms, based on maybe not
Right.
your own timing, but based on what other people think.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you broke even in your first month is telling.
Right.
You got enough money to pay the rent and more
Yeah.
so. What do you attribute that to? What lessons can young people in the audience who are thinking about a business and what it takes to get there?
Being someone who's, even after Revitasize, who started many businesses, I've realized the only ones that really work out are ones that you have a crazy passion for, and ones that I have about 90% of my dreams are about one of the 2 businesses right now.
So let's talk about the other business, because the mother story I get, the juicing, the cold press, the knowledge. When did you become in love with weighted blankets? That's the business of Hush Blankets.
Yeah, Hush is interesting. Hush is was something that came to after I took a great deal of time to study website building and e-commerce.
Well, I was looking at the site today, and I wanted to compliment you. You've run an amazing sort of landing page, drop shipping business. So I was even wondering if it was the product that you cared about, or if the product fills the ability to do this sort of business and run it, because it seems incredibly well ordered.
Actually, that's an amazing question. It started with trying to sell something online, and it formulated to an amazing love for the product.
But let's just not undersell that. You're being very Canadian now, especially from Israeli. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, you raised $3 million in crowdsourcing, but what people don't get is that when you take $3 million from a fund like I'm associated with, we're your boss, we take a huge percentage, we have all these, but when you take it from your customers, you also get their input, their feedback, their access, and the confirmatory information that what you're building isn't nuts. I mean, I don't know if weighted blankets would be a big thing, but if 15,000 people wrote checks in advance of a product being built and shipped and made, that means there's a demand there. And at $150 a blanket, I only looked quickly, $150 a blanket, that's a lot of blanket, that's a lot of confirmation. And so my question again is, did you have a love of blankets and learn how to market it, or did you learn how to market and search out a product?
I had a love for helping people feel better.
Okay.
And I didn't want to sell a gimmick product. People who know me know that I only sell things that I personally use or that I believe in. So we spent a lot of time on this blanket. It's not just any weighted blanket. We bought all the weighted blankets in the market. We laid them out in my partner's apartment. We cut them open, we used them. We spent a lot of time figuring out why they suck.
Because they're supposed to have all these benefits, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure everyone's reality matches the marketing.
I think the reality of the weighted blanket before we came in and really made it a serious business was that it was just one big bean bag.
Okay.
And you just throw this bean bag on you and hopefully you feel better. And weights would fall to the side because your body would create that arch, and they weren't good.
Okay.
And they, even with the ties that they had in place, it would still shift throughout the night, and it was, you have to put your hand in the blanket, and it wasn't good. So we found a space that we could come in and improve.
But people say your blankets are exponentially more functional, more valuable. What do you attribute that to?
The first, customer service.
Okay.
Most of our competitors are Chinese-based, so they can't respond as fast. They're not as personal. We really get to know our customers,
Okay.
Inside and out. Up until recently, we were pretty much taking in about 50% of the chats and emails that came in terms of customer service.
Although this morning I was greeted by a robot, a chat bot named Aaron, and had your picture, but it did identify itself as a chat bot. And
Yeah.
it was very good because it pretty much did what I would want salespeople to. What do I need it for? How am I going to use it?
Right.
Do I have a partner in the bed with me? Am I alone? And I just thought that was amazing considering
Yeah.
it's a piece of code.
So depending on how you went through that bot would actually lead you to me, to my partner Lior, or to one of our customer service representatives. So because what we found was that a lot of the questions coming in were very basic and could be answered, and then those who needed next level help could be directed properly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was something that we implemented on Black Friday, actually, because Black Friday was,
Insane.
yeah.
So did you find the weighted blanket, or did you have to do what Musk had to do and create the thing he wanted to buy?
So my partner Lior, actually, who's in the software business, we became friends a few years ago, just because we were both young entrepreneurs. We both left university early, so we were kind of friends, by association, and we kind of really built a really good relationship. And he knows that I just built a new Revitasize website and selling juices online, which has been amazing for us. And he called me and he's like, I can't stop thinking about this product. And I'm like, what product? He's like, he volunteered at a summer camp for kids with autism or special needs. And he's like, they have this thing called the stimulation room. Yeah, stimulation room, where they all go in whenever they have a panic attack or they're frazzled, they just want to rest. And he's like, I would spend all day in this room. And I'm like, why? He's like, they have these weighted pads where you just kind of put on top of you, or if you put on top of the kid, and they just completely decompress and relax. But I was like, guys, where's the one for adults? And they're like, oh, we don't have that, just kids.
Because adults never have panic or anxiety.
Yeah, or anxiety or anything like that, right?
Issues, right?
So then he did some research, and he's like, some guy did a Kickstarter for one of the beanbag type weighted bags, and he had I think it was 5,000 or something, or some crazy amount of backers. And he's like, we gotta sell this. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not gonna sell a product I don't believe in, so let's make a product. And we spent the next 6 months developing this product back and forth, and I still sleep with our final sample actually till today. And it formulated, and we both bootstrapped it. We funded it ourselves at the beginning, and then we sold out within a few days. And then, as you mentioned, we went into pre-order, and people have been pre-ordering these blankets. We finally fulfilled them in June. We were back in stock, and then we launched on Amazon, I think September 5th, and we were sold out completely Canada-wide September 9th. And
Congratulations.
we've been sold out ever since, actually.
What do you attribute the great sales figures for?
I think demand is one aspect. People are searching for methods of relief for anxiety and sleep and insomnia. Marketing.
You're the first in the Google search. You're the first in
Yeah,
I did some
better
research.
be. I mean,
For what it costs, for sure.
what it costs, it better be. But we do the Google searches. We created Facebook campaigns. My partner Leo is an amazing marketer. We have so many friends that we've built over time, the networking connections. My friend runs the Facebook ads. My other friend runs the Google ads for us. We're in connections with all sorts of people. We're consistently tweaking and testing.
Well, let's talk about people. So I remember very clearly going in front of your store, and there is a picture of the now Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle. Mm-hmm. So Tell me that story. How did she become your celebrity endorser?
So first year we opened Yorkville, me and Joe, who's the owner of Aurora, were working, and I'm a big fan of Suits. Huge fan of
The show
Suits,
that made her famous?
especially at the time. And this lady walks in, and she's, I think she was getting a juice, and I think one of our immune boosters. And Joe like kind of like whistles into the back of the store, and I can like see him like waving me over. And I'm like checking her out. And I'm like, dude, let me finish the transaction. He's like, no, come here for a second. I'm like, okay, give me one second. And he's like, you don't know who that is, do you? I'm like, absolutely not, because she was wearing a hat, and I didn't really.
Yeah, she was low key.
And it was late at night, and he's like, that's Meghan Markle. And I didn't even know her real name at the time. I'm like, who? And he's like, the girl from Suits. And I was like, no way. So I go to her, and I'm like, you got to try our acai bowl. And she's like, to be honest, I'm a big acai bowl enthusiast. I've had them all over the world. I don't want to be harsh, but I've had all the acai bowls in Toronto, and they're all trash. So I know
That's
you
a
guys
challenge.
She goes, I know you guys are new, but like you don't understand. I have this blog. I'm very serious about acai bowls. I know them in and out. I'm probably not going to like it. And I'm like, I'll make you a deal. If you don't like it, don't pay for it. And she's like, all right, deal. Free acai bowl.
What were you going to get if she liked it?
Just the personal satisfaction that Meghan Markle likes our acai bowl. And
And
I
you
can
like
go
her
tell
show.
all my friends that
Fair enough.
she had an acai bowl. And so I go in the back, and I'm like, Joe, we're going to tag team this. And acai bowl takes about 3 to 5 minutes, maybe. This one took like 10.
I would hope so.
Yeah, everything was
Polishing
meticulously made.
things. And
Every fruit was like specifically cut, and
into little shapes of animals.
yeah, we presented to her, and I gave her no lid, and then,
So she had to eat it
and
there.
she had to eat it there. So I'm like, you got it. I want to know right now.
I'm like,
And
is the security footage working? I'm like, can we record this?
so she takes her first bite, and we're kind of like all like looking at her, and she takes another
No
bite.
pressure.
She turns around and she goes, "This is the best bowl I've ever had."
No.
And we're like, I turn around at Joe, we're like, high five, low key. And she's like, yeah, this is amazing. Like, thank you guys so much. And off she goes. And that was it. I'm
You
like,
let her leave?
yeah, she just let, we
No
didn't
selfie, no tweet, no endorsement on the blog.
Absolutely not. She just.
What kind of marketer are you?
At the time, I was just happy Meghan Markle ate her bowl and liked it.
Fair enough. Okay, what happened next?
So then she ends up, Joe was managing that store. So I was there just for the day. I wasn't there. She comes back again. Joe texts me. He's like, guess who's back? I'm like, yes. She comes back. Same thing. Gets a bowl. Gets a juice. Over and over again.
Over and over. So this happens multiple.
Multiple times. Because every time she went for a workout, she would come and get a bowl. And she built a really good relationship with Joe. She would text him, hey, I'm on the way. And he would prepare for her. And
Did you ever charge her?
yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yeah. And she insisted on it. She was great. And then she takes a photo and she puts it on her Instagram. Out of nowhere, we had no idea, and we just see our Instagram start blowing up with messages, and
Because she's quite well followed.
she's quite well, especially at the time, right? And
I'm not sure she's gone down
so
since
I'm like, Joe, I think she had to delete her Instagram too. I don't think she has
a
that
certain
anymore.
time she had
yeah.
to.
So I think Joe messaged her saying thank you so much for it, and we get an email from her publicist saying like that we have to like write some sort of like check as an endorsement or something, and
Sorry, what? You have to pay them?
yeah, because
Sorry, her publicist calls you because she put you on Instagram. I'm just trying to see how
I
this
think
sort of thing occurs.
it was a miscommunication, yeah, because she thought that Meghan did it out of endorsement.
Oh, okay.
So she just saw it and reached out to us.
Because she gets a commission,
And-
so she doesn't want to miss
right.
anything.
And she was kind of just playing police, and we're like, no, she did that on her own. And next thing you know, Meghan came in. She was like, yeah, don't worry about it. But it was awesome. And then next thing I know, at the time she had this amazing blog called The Tig,
And really well followed, right?
extremely well, worldwide.
Yeah.
And she dedicates pretty much a half page just to our acai bowl.
Wow.
And this is just us facilitating. And then I talked to Joe. I'm like, Joe, did you even know she did this? And he's like, yeah, man, I've been delivering these to her house.
I've been mowing her lawn while she eats the bowl to be happy.
She lived nearby, and Joe would deliver juices and stuff to her house, and they had a really good relationship. She was really nice. She always supported us. She let all these different public relation people call us, and she would always refer them to us. So the Hello Canada article that she's I guess signed off on, and she was really great. It was sad when she left, but
you're not shipping them overseas?
No, not yet.
They may not stay fresh, right?
Yeah, they're definitely not. But
so just to close this up, she's not a paid endorser. She's a customer lover. She loves the product, and she gave of herself. So the big picture of her, she's aware of and is fine with, but more importantly, you're benefiting from them. What's been the value long term of the celebrity endorsement? What have you seen? And I know she's now a world figure, and
some people know that she liked our bowls. Most people don't. I think you'd have to. She's online. She's done a tremendous amount of amazing things for us. If you type in Toronto's best acai bowl, Meghan Markle saying what she thought was the best shows up 1 or 2.
Yeah, but she didn't invite you to the wedding, so it's not like there's an ongoing deep relationship.
I think it was one dish she liked post-workout, and it was amazing. Honestly, she was so nice. She was so real. She never acted any sort of way.
Now, she's not alone in using a blog to communicate. You guys use the Juicy Lifestyle blog that you have. And as I went through it, I was amazed at how strategic the voice, the voice of the firm, the communication style, how you engage is. Is that just you, or are you mindfully doing that, being a great communicator, really strong customer following? It's almost like you're building a community. So again, that could just be you, or is that something you mindfully approached?
Yeah, I mean, I orchestrate it.
Okay. So it is on purpose.
It is completely on purpose. Yeah, our entire business is built on building valuable relationships within each community and growing the community. We'll do a local sampling at a yoga studio over the yoga show, for example, that attracts hundreds of thousands of people from all over, because we're extremely invested in every store in its own little circle and understanding who our partners are and who our community is. So, and we're still very educational based, as you can probably see on the blog. Website. We're still trying to teach people and interact with them, and it's amazing to see now actually on Instagram how many people that enjoy our brand have built their own sub-brands of health.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's interesting. Either vegans or vegetarians or just being healthy. Our clients that have went and kind of created their own little community of people who follow them and share a passion for health with them, and then when they
they're
post
like your ambassadors.
Yeah, they're their own ambassadors, but because we fit within their realm, they share us and they talk about us, and it's amazing because it's another form of endorsement.
Last question. About 10 minutes ago, you mentioned everything we do now is strategic and planned and really well thought through. But at the beginning of this journey, that was the opposite. You were catching what you could. You were making things work. You were doing the MacGyver where you had to. You were building stores you couldn't finish.
Right.
What's changed?
Not that much.
But yet they're radically different.
They're radically different. We still move at such a fast pace where there is holes and leaks that we always try to MacGyver our way to patch, right? The difference is that we're a lot smarter. We've learned from our mistakes. We've made a lot of mistakes. And as the years go by, you learn not to make those mistakes again. So we know what works. We know what doesn't work. We still have our fair share of trying things within the unknown.
Yeah, but that's how you get them to be known, by testing them.
Exactly.
By trying.
It's consistently testing new things, trying new things, new products.
Using data instead of gut.
Yeah, mix of data and gut. A lot of gut still. Yeah. A lot of my mother's gut, actually. She has this weird...
How are your parents?
Good. My dad's been amazing ever since. We were able to get him out of that job, which he couldn't do anymore at the time because he lost his license for a year. But yeah, for him, his life has changed in such a positive way.
It sounds like that's actually the theme today. The positive impact on other people, on your customers, on your family. You took them from a really bad spot, you as a family, took yourself from a very bad spot in 18 to 5-6 years later to be in a different place. I'm sure the journey is still ongoing, but there has to be something empowering about entrepreneurship when you think about it like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the internal, like our internal fulfillment. I mean, people always ask me, they're like, you know, are you guys successful? And from the outside looking in, you see 7 locations and a manufacturing facility and online and all this. And it looks as such because you don't know the internal reality. And I tell people, you know, success without true fulfillment is really the ultimate failure, because we wouldn't be happy if it was what it was if we weren't doing what we really love, which was helping other people. And that's our fulfillment every day. Like, we had our first staff party at our manufacturing facility, which is 1.5 years old. And just to know that 40 plus people now we support just in our manufacturing facility, almost 100 across the board now. It's no longer just customer centric. We have people that rely on us now.
Pay mortgages.
Right, and we're so people oriented, and that's true fulfillment. I had one of my staff who doesn't even work for me anymore call me the other day and tell me that he had some sort of success in his personal career. And
That's
the fact that he called me out of, you know, I was one of his many bosses that he had, meant that he looked up to me and he felt some sort of impact that we had together. So those are the fulfillments that I tell people about. And they don't really understand it because everyone feels that all fulfillment is monetary. But if it was monetary, we wouldn't be here, because there's so many other ways you could do to make money. For us, and even within Hush, it's all about having that fulfillment of helping someone else. Like, I got a review this morning when I woke up of someone saying that he hasn't had a sleep like this in 17 years.
Wow, that's
And
powerful.
like, people say doing a workout in the morning starts the day right. Like, that was like, I got up, I was like, bam, I'm gonna have an amazing day. Because that's the reason why we do it. And I know it sounds cliche because everyone's, you know, we're all for the people, but if you really listen to the beginning of this and how we started in our house, just helping people, that is our fulfillment. It's all about it. I still do cleanse coaching personally for many people. I text them day in, day out, how you doing today, how you doing tomorrow? 5 years ago, people were like, that's not scalable. You can't message people. And I'm like, yeah, we can. So
Now, especially with technology and chatbots.
yeah.
I want to thank you for helping us fulfill our mandate of sharing real stories up close and personal. Aaron, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Sean Wise. Thanks for watching The Naked Entrepreneur.